Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video I thought that we're going to take a very interesting journey, and I wanted to do, you know how Gary Black tweets sometimes like these are the Tesla positive catalysts and these are the Tesla negative catalysts. So I wanted to do a video of like what are the things that would totally crash Palantir stock after earnings, and what are the things that would be absolutely bullish for Palantir after the earnings. So I think it's going to be a very interesting video. It's a guaranteed nerdy video, so I need you to sub right now in case you hate me later, and hit me up on Twitter and let me know that you are from this video on Twitter. So let's speak there. Alright, so what are the things that can crash Palantir stock after the earnings? And I want to give you so this was the clickbait title, right? But I'm also going to go through the good things that can make Palantir moon, and I'm going to give you my predictions. So the catalyst that can crash Palantir stock, Alex Karp acting weird on the earnings call, and this I include sort of as a joke, but unfortunately it's not fully a joke because some people have a very big button on how Alex Karp is, and if he does something weird, it can seriously make the stock price go down, even though it has nothing to do with the company, right? And he clearly has been getting some coaching. He's acting more normal, and he speaks more the Wall Street language, so that's really good. So I don't think that this is going to happen, and again, I do have to include this. So obviously one thing that if they miss earnings, and this is sort of an obvious point, but I have to say it because Palantir has had very much lowered expectations. So we have been accustomed to that they are mentioning 30% growth year over year, and this is what they're trying to keep. And Alex Karp said that he's going for 4.5 billion in revenue in 2025, and the only way that they can reach that is they re-accelerate the growth. And to reach the 4.5 billion, I think they have to grow like 35 or 40% in 2023, in 2024, and in 2025 to reach that. So the reason why this is important is because there's a lot of growth priced into Palantir stock. Now, I get it that these expectations have been lowered a lot, and these expectations are basically on the floor, but I think that there is a scenario, because currently I think what is calculated into Palantir stock price is about a 20% perpetual growth. So even if they don't accelerate back to 30%, they're growing 20% year over year, the stock price is basically adjusted for that. But what happens if they come in with, you know, that they only grew 5%? And they are forecasting that they are going to continue to grow 5% for the next foreseeable quarters. I think that that would crash the stock. And okay, I'm going to talk more about this. So then there is this thing that they might not be gap profitable this quarter. Last quarter they talked a lot about gap profitable. And they didn't say that they're going to be gap profitable every quarter, even though a lot of actions that they do in the company wouldn't make sense if they wouldn't be gap profitable. For example, they already know their bookkeeping, and he still came out with the shareholder letter about them having the possibility of being included in the S&P 500 because the rules have changed, and that would be super bullish for the stock. And why would you come out with a shareholder letter if you know that this quarter is not gap profitable? So I do think that they're going to be gap profitable, but if they're not, I don't think that this would crash the stock, but it would not help the stock. So this next one is the one that I'm really scared of. So I listen to the Amazon earnings calls. I, look at a lot of data, and basically Amazon is saying that their web services is very much slowing down, and it's also slowing down because they are consulting with the customers and they are trying to help them how to spend less on AWS and go through this very hard economic time. And I am thinking, what if the same thing is happening with Palantir, that their biggest, I don't think that the government is doing that because the government is usually not trying to save money and they're not very smart. So maybe this is when Palantir is built for the bad times. But what if this is happening on the commercial end of things, and Palantir is helping the people how to turn off certain functions, how to, you know, do things with less compute, how to use the program less and more efficient in order to, you know, weather this economic storm. And this would be very understandable for the long-term future, because you're building long-term customer relationships. But I think that that would be horrible for the stock price, because people are already questioning if Palantir is really a growth company. We can clearly see that is a very much slowing growth. And I'm very afraid of this scenario. And this scenario is them coming out saying that, okay, we just met the earnings expectations, but we need to lower the year-end guidance, and we are going to have a few bad quarters. But don't worry, guys, we are coming out with this new AIP product, and it's going to change everything, and we see a lot of government contracts our way. And the thing is that as a long-term investor, this all sounds good, but the problem is that I don't believe that investors have this kind of trust for Karp, because he has been talking about government contracts coming, and they're not really coming. And we don't know what's happening with that. So this scenario, I'm really afraid of, and I really hope that it doesn't happen. Then the next thing that can crash Palantir stock is that the adjusted gross margins diminish, because they use a lot of people on this new platform AIP. And again, I think that they have been very good with controlling their costs and, you know, their R&D, and I don't think that this is going to happen. But this has a chance of happening, right? So I wanted to really make it clear that all the options here that can crash the stock, I think they have a very low probability, except for this lowering the guidance, you know, with the giving an upbeat guidance in a few quarters. That I'm really afraid of. Like, I feel that has like a 40% chance of happening. All the other ones, I don't think that they're very likely. And here's the thing, that even if these bad scenarios happen, a lot of them can be mitigated by communicating very clearly to investors. And unfortunately, Palantir is not very good at clearly communicating to investors. So what I mean is, even if they have very bad adjusted gross margins, because half the company engineers were working on AIP and they were not creating revenue. If they just clearly state this and they say, okay, we have a plan that half the company is going to work on this AIP platform for the next 6 months, and the gross margin is going to look like this. But we have customers lined up, and after, you know, month 4, we're going to start making income, and we're going to have a very high profit margin. We're going to, you know, do X, Y, and Z. That would completely mitigate it. It's just Palantir is not a company for some reason that is good at speaking with investors. Yes, so now let's look at the bright side of life. What are the catalysts that can moon Palantir? And I'm going to first go through the earnings, what can happen in the earnings, but also, like, as investors, what needs to happen for the stock price to reverse course and finally start going the right way for us, right? So number 1 is being GAAP profitable. Again, I think that they said this in the last earnings, and I think that the investors are neutral, so they're not really sure if Palantir is going to be GAAP profitable or not. And, you know, if they end up not being GAAP profitable, it will, you know, hurt the stock price a little bit. And if they become GAAP profitable, it will, you know, be a slight boost to the stock. And again, I think that this is very highly likely. Some of the things completely doesn't make sense if they don't become GAAP profitable. Then if they have a re-acceleration of growth, both in commercial and government, it would be sensational for many things. So, and what I mean by this is, if they just start going back to, again, it will not happen this quarter, okay? So this would have to be in the guiding. So if they say that, okay, we have to revise the year-end guidance from, you know, between 2.2 to 2.4 billion to, let's say, 2.6 billion. So the reason why that would be freaking fantastic is, as I told you, Palantir is already repriced. So people are already not thinking with the 30% growth. They are thinking with around 20% growth. And So they would have to basically reprice, remodel Palantir, and that would automatically make the stock price boost up, okay? The second reason why it would be phenomenal is because it really would be showing the strength of Palantir as a company. It's a bad economic environment out there. Amazon is losing business, Microsoft is losing business, you know, all the IT companies are having a hard time, and if amid these times Palantir could show a re-acceleration, they would really be bucking the trend, and it would really be showing that they have something very, very special here. So if this would happen on the earnings call, I believe we would have a lasting boost to the stock price, not like the one that we got last time when they reported and they're like, oh, we're gap profitable, okay, stock price up 20%, and then 3 days later we're back to the same level. Now, if Palantir gets a huge number of new customers, that would be very, very bullish, but this would not affect the stock price in the short term. I did a video that you can find on this channel. I think it's one of my best Palantir videos about understanding the business model of Palantir. And I think that people underestimate how scalable Palantir is when they get new customers. So the thing is that Palantir is not scalable in terms of that they're going to get like thousands and thousands of new customers, but once they get the foot in the door to one customer, they scale within the organization, like sort of like cancer. It's not a good analogy, but it gives you the idea, right? So the thing is, when they acquire a lot of new customers, it actually hurts their gross margins, and it hurts them in the short term because, you know, they need to send the forward deploy engineers, and a lot of times they give these ridiculous deals. Like the first deal that they gave to the NHS was like, you can use us for $1, let us show you what we can do. And even if they don't give these insane deals, normally the first like let's say you have a customer, the first 3 months they get, let's say, $300,000, right? And as they scale, this $300,000 becomes, you know, 3 million and then 10 million contracts, right? But in the beginning, it doesn't move shit on their income statement. But as long-term investors, we understand that this is a huge advantage in the future. So that would be very, very bullish for me. Then, if on this earnings call they give a very clear direction, pricing, and market opportunity with the AI platform, like if they could say that, okay, is this going to be an upsell to the existing customers, and we are expecting that everybody's going to pay 10% more because this is so much more functional? Or is this something that is a new product that is going to help them scale to, you know, hundreds of new customers that gives them a very high margin? If we get news, clear news, again, something that unfortunately Palantir doesn't really do well and has not been doing, maybe they change on this earnings call, but that would be very, very bullish for the price. Now, this is obviously not going to happen on the earnings call, but if they get the NHS contract in England, which it kind of everybody knows that they're getting it, but it's just like one announcement away, that would be very, very bullish for the stock price for many, many, many reasons. So one of them is that it's a concept of proof that they can, you know, handle a super big contract. They can handle a whole nation's, you know, health data. And this potentially opens the door to a lot of other nations who are, you know, planning to do the same. And this is a huge, very profitable contract. I think this contract alone gives like a 5-6% increase just this year in Palantir's income. So this would be very, very bullish. So now here's a really, really big one that can influence the stock price. So I believe, let's say that they were gap profitable last quarter, they will become gap profitable this quarter. That means that they're 2 quarters away from being being eligible to be included in the S&P 500, because being eligible doesn't necessarily mean that you're included. And once they're included, I think that there is, not that I think, suddenly there's a whole new investor class that is going to be forced to buy their shares. All the index funds are going to be forced to buy their shares. There is a lot of institutional investors that don't invest into companies that are not in the S&P 500. And this is going to bring a huge stability, a huge buying pressure, and it's going to be super bullish for the stock. So if they come out with the second gap profitable quarter and they are clearly saying that, yeah, no matter what, we are going to have 2 more gap profitable quarters, it's basically, you can take it to the bank, it's bagged. it's going to be super, super bullish for the stock. Just Tesla, when they had the news that they will be included in the S&P 500, I think the stock price jumped like between 40 to 60% around that time. So this would be super, super bullish. So now, and ultimately, to really change the trajectory of Palantir stock, we need the Fed to start lowering rates. The thing is, it's closer than you think. I know we are all into the pain of, having the interest rates increased, and I think tomorrow we're going to have the last interest rate increase, and then it's going to stay the same for quite some time. But then I believe that it's going to lead to the stocks recovering because, the interest rates are not being increased anymore. And when the stocks are recovering, the companies will want to spend more, they want to digitalize more, and then it would basically mean that the economy starts recovering, and that would really, really, really boost the stock price. And that is all. So now, what I think is, I think that it's almost guaranteed that they're gap profitable, right? But I don't think that this will mean move the stock price a lot. The re-acceleration of growth, both commercial and government, there is a chance that it happens because I believe that there's a lot of backlog government contracts that they haven't gotten, and I think that they are getting a lot of new interest because of ChatGPT and all this, new AI things. And by the way, this CARP also mentions in the shareholder letter quite sometimes. So I think that there is a quite high chance that this happens. I would give it a 40% chance. It's not a 50-50, but if this happens, we are, golden. Then a huge increase in the number of new customers. I think that there is an 80% chance that this would happen on the earnings call because, again, CARP mentions in 2 of the shareholder letters how much interest they are getting because of, ChatGPT and all this AI craze. So that is very, very likely to happen. I think that it would tiny little bit move the stock price, but it would be an insanely bullish sign for long-term investors. It would be like, okay, time to load the boat, guys, at least for me, not investment advice. The clear direction and pricing and market opportunity, Palantir does not have a good track record on that one. I give it like a 20% chance. The NHS contract is guaranteed not going to happen on the earnings call, but that's basically in the bag. Everybody knows it. Being included in the S&P 500, I think that's a matter of time as a Palantir bull. And yeah, the Fed lowering the rates and stock recovering, we all know that, there is good times and then bad times and then good times and then bad times. And now we have had a lot of bad times. So that is just a question of time, but it's 100% going to happen. So that was my video. Let me know, guys, if you disagree or agree with this video. Let me know what you are looking forward to in the stock. What is it that you most want to hear and see? Let me know in the comments below. And make sure hit me up on Twitter, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.